all-inclusive vacations make life easy with endless eats, bottomless drinks, and never-ending fun. So booking an all-inclusive vacation should be easy too, right? That's where Apple Vacations comes in. Book your all-inclusive getaway with Apple Vacations and receive exclusive perks at select resorts. You'll find the best deals to Hyatt, Zilara, Riviera Maya in Mexico and enjoy a selection of exclusive non-stop vacation flights. Turn on easy mode at applevacations.com or call your local travel advisor to get started. Visit applevacations.com or call your local travel advisor to get started.
Hi, I'm Gabby Reese. Join me and my husband, big wave surfer Laird Hamilton, on our journey with Laird Superfood. From our kitchen to yours, we've crafted delicious plant-based creamers, coffee, greens, and so much more using high-quality functional ingredients. Visit lairdsuperfood.com and use the code GABBY2024 for 20% off your first order.
It's time for a Big Blue Kickoff Live.
Nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it, because you did.
On Giants.com.
You know what I saw? New York Giant Prime.
And the Giants mobile app.
17-14 is the final. One touchdown, we are world champions. Believe it, and it will happen.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs. Have some fun.
Welcome to Thursday's edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live here on Giants.com. So glad you could join us. Jot down the number if you'd like to join us, 201-939-4513. That's actually to participate in the program. You're already joining us because you're listening and watching. I'm Paul Dottino. He is two-time Super Bowl champion Jonathan Casillas, and we'll be here for the next hour to talk Giants football. Obviously, off-season coming up very soon. The final regular season game is Sunday against the Philadelphia Eagles. We had a chance to hear from the coordinators earlier today as the Giants begin their final days of preparation to face Philadelphia here at MetLife Stadium. Remember, that game was announced earlier this week to be 4:25 on Sunday. There was TBD on all of your schedules that were printed out before the season. Late Monday night, the NFL, I think it might have even been Sunday night, late Sunday night, the NFL finalized the schedule for Week 18. And just in case for some reason you were forgetful, this weekend's game is Sunday, 4:25, right here at MetLife Stadium against Philadelphia. So before we start, remember today's program, as always, is brought to you by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. And an archive of this show after we have concluded will be available, of course, on the Giants mobile app, podcast platforms everywhere, and at giants.com/podcast. Jonathan, belated Happy New Year. You were out of town last week, so we did not have you here as the Giants and Rams went in a, well, very dramatic fashion of a battle royal, and Giants unable to squeak that one out, but you missed a good game.
Yeah, it was a great game. You know, it's so funny because we were 12 hours ahead in Thailand. I couldn't really watch the game. You know, for some reason, the NFL app wasn't working. And then on the way back home, I was like, I'll just watch it on the plane. It wasn't working on the plane either.
Oh.
Mind you, I landed today. So I ended up watching it, but this morning I was like, what?
No. Like today?
This morning. I had a 15-hour flight. I got here at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, my word.
Yeah, and I got into the airport at 8:30. I didn't get home till about almost 10:30, 11 o'clock.
Wow.
Right. Showered up and came here, but I got a chance to, watch it on the ride
you're
back.
a trooper to get in here for this program.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, I told Schmelk I was going to miss Thursday and miss the game. That's it. I'm not going to do no more than that.
Okay.
And I've had a problem of missing flights in the past, and I've been doing really good. I haven't missed a flight in a while. It's probably been a couple months.
Okay.
But it's like everybody expects me to miss flights. Like my mom would call me like, hey, did you you got down there okay? It's like, Mom made my flight. She was like, oh, good job. Like, good job, buddy. Like,
wow.
So I've been doing good. I made my flights.
That's the worst kind of busted coverage, by the way, when you miss a flight.
Watch the game, and it was a good game. A lot of chances for the Giants to win the game as well.
Yes.
Yeah, and that was kind of, for me, it was heartbreaking. Like, what is then the 2-point it was just so many times. It's like the special teams came to play. Big play by Olszewski on special teams, and that's 2 weeks in a row that special teams make some big plays, and the inefficiencies of the offense bit the Giants again. That's been kind of what the season's been like this year.
There were some errant passes. There were some drop passes. To be honest with you, I'm just going to focus with you on the special teams play by Olszewski, the 94-yard punt return for a touchdown. And the reason why I want to focus on that is because obviously you were special teams demon in your years in the National Football League. And the Giants over the years, I mean, they've had some really good return guys. David Meggett, of course, Dwayne Harris, Dominic Hickson. You know, they've had some really good return guys. But over the course of the last several years, really not so much.
Yeah.
What do you see in Gunnar Olszewski, who was waived by the Steelers midseason? Remember, a few years ago with the Patriots, he was all NFL. But waived by the Steelers, look, since he got here, he has totally stabilized the position and done better than that, because not only do I think he's stabilized it, I think he's a weapon.
He's dangerous.
Like, tell me what you see.
No, he's dangerous. You know, he's fearless too. Like, he's a guy that, you know, that like he might do something that's a little unconventional. Like, he might catch that ball a little bit deeper than he's supposed to.
He admitted that.
He kind of did that last
He knew
week.
He knew it.
You know, but with guys like that, because he's so sure of himself, very sure-handed with catches, and the guys that the Giants have had in at that position, the return position, those are sure-handed receivers, and I'm talking about Shep. Shep's a sure-handed receiver. Mm-hmm. It's a different story when that ball's coming either like over end like this, or, you know, sometimes it's wobbly, or they do the little, like, the reverse spin with the punt. Trust me, I don't want to be life on the line catching the punt. I don't want to be in that situation. But for him to be able to do it, like, and like we were talking about it when he took over, it was like, it was no doubt like that he was going to make the catch. Before that, when Gray was catching the ball, even when Shep, it was always like are they going to catch it? That's not a good, like, you're not giving yourself a chance, you know? And not only is he very secure in catching the ball, he's very dangerous because he does stuff like he did last week, and he can return a kick, but he did it from deep. He might, you know, look like he's going to run up and fair catch it, but all of a sudden he catches it and runs for 12, 13 yards. Like he gets those hidden yardage that the Giants have been missing for years.
Yeah.
You know, and like a 12 or 13-yard return is a lot different than a 4 or 5-yard return. That is a huge difference. Huge difference.
So from the minute that he played his first game with the Giants, we were sitting in the box together, and we already could see the difference in the confidence factor and the assertiveness factor of the unit, because we're like, okay, this guy's got this.
Yeah.
This is not a problem anymore. He has totally solidified the position. What does it do for the rest of his punt return unit players on the field? Because we felt it tangibly in the box.
We did.
What does it do for the teammates who are on that punt return unit when they know he's back there?
Well, I've been blessed with being with some really good returners. My last time playing for New York, my last time playing in the league was with Dwayne Harris. He was really good. He was a tremendous football player all around, really good receiver, can block.
As tough as nails.
A great gunner on special on punt. And then one of the best returners, if not the best returner, when he was returning footballs for whoever, Dallas or New York. Where did he go after?
Raiders.
The Raiders, yeah. Any team that he played for, he was a very, very dangerous returner. And you look at the other guys like, yo, let's get him in the end zone. You know, like, it's not like that when you have a guy that can't even hold the ball, you know, like can't even catch the ball. You know, but when you know a guy has that danger in his back pocket, because, like, you got to be fearless to be a kick returner or to be a punt returner, especially being a punt returner. Because kick returner is a lot more space, and when you catch the ball, there's no one around you, like no one, you know. Punt return, huge difference. When you catch that ball, there is always somebody around you, usually, because these punters in the NFL, they're getting, I don't know if they're getting better, but they're good. They're good punters. They put the ball up with you know, good hang time, whatever, 4 point whatever seconds. The coverage teams get down there, and there's usually people around when somebody catches the ball. And you have to be fearless, because even if you fair catch it, you might still get hit. You know, somebody might not seen it. You know what I'm saying? So
I know.
The approach that he has, I think, as a returner, he makes those guys say, like, yo, if we get our blocks, if we hang on, if we go the extra effort, like, we can probably get this guy in the end zone. I think he just proved that. And that gives you a little bit momentum and a little bit that more like that sureness about that, like, oh, he's a guy. Like we thought he was a guy because of how he handles himself, but now he returned a kick, and it was a great, beautiful kick return, punt return. It was beautiful.
Everything about it was great.
And, that gives that group that confidence, like if we do our jobs, we can get him in the end zone.
I think the other thing about that return that impressed me, and you'll love this, being a linebacker, how about Isaiah Simmons?
Oh, yeah.
Leading the caravan
running the whole time.
Down the sideline the whole time. I'm telling you right now.
There was a risky block in the back, too. Brown, he almost got
I saw what you're talking about.
Like, that's when you look, like, everybody, like, when the return's over, everybody in the room looks at Brown like, why would you do that? Like, everybody, all the players like, bro, what are you doing? He was behind the play. But the Giants, the last 2 weeks, Paul, and we've been, the last couple years, I've been doing this with you for 2 years now.
Yeah.
We've been talking about special teams. How there was a lack thereof. They don't make plays or make mistakes, penalties.
None of the return guys were nearly as dangerous as what Olszewski has shown, or as consistent, or as confident as he has shown.
Those are great words to use. Yeah.
He was just an outstanding pickup, and I, for one, will say this right now. I certainly hope the Giants bring him back.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any doubt in T-Mac's mind, Thomas McGahee, the special teams coordinator, that they would like to bring him back.
He was like how good that Hodgins pickup was last year for the offense. That's how good of a special teams pickup.
I think that's very fair to say.
Yeah.
I think that's very fair to say. 201-939-4513 is our phone number. We're going to get to the calls in just a couple of minutes. I do need to remind everybody that are we still doing Giants season ticket memberships? Are we really doing
last
that?
Game, baby. Finish
well,
strong.
I guess you can get them for next year, right? Okay, so Giants season ticket memberships are available. You can take your fandom to the next level, stay connected to the team all year round, not just on game days. Memberships are now available. It says for the 2023 season on the copy. I'm not sure when the 2024 ones will be available, but trust me, if you go to giants.com/tickets, or if you contact the team via email or even with a telephone call, I'm sure they will be able to try to accommodate you and figure out what they can do to start a relationship, so at some point when the season ticket memberships are available for next year, that will be something that you could potentially partake in. Giants Huddle podcast, also all the interviews with the front office people, the national NFL folks, as well as players, former players, et cetera, all available. You can subscribe to your favorite podcast platforms or go to giants.com/podcasts. And, of course, again, as we've always said to you, if you go to the Apple Podcast, leave a 5-star review so everybody can see what a great, great podcast we have, and we can keep doing them all the time. Single game tickets available one more week. Giants in Philadelphia on Sunday, giants.com/tickets to secure your seat. And finally, the Giants TV official mobile streaming app has original video content and game highlights on demand and direct to Big Blue fans. Giants TV is free on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV, and the Giants mobile app. I have now gotten all of the hurdles out of the way. We can now get to the beef of the program. 201-939-4513. And we will go to the phones, and I'm going to go to line 3 first. Dan from Connecticut, you are the first caller today on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hello.
Hi, guys. Hey, I had a couple of questions I wanted to ask you. First one be about Dexter Lawrence.
He's going to the Pro Bowl. Second time.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we got you.
When I see Dexter Lawrence, you know who I think of? I think of Reggie White. How he throws people around.
Not even close. They're not the same in any way, shape, or form. Zero. Don't try to compare them. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I want to ask a question.
Go ahead.
Didn't Reggie White start inside early in his career?
Well, Reggie White was the kind of guy that they could move around anywhere that they wanted to, depending upon the snap or what particular scheme they were going to run that day. Reggie White started in the USFL with the Memphis Showboats. I remember watching him here playing defensive end and breaking Doug Flutie's collarbone, slamming him to the turf at the old Giant Stadium.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah. He was a force then. We all knew he was going to be great in the NFL when he got there. Go ahead.
Okay, Paul. Thanks. Do you think they could put Lawrence at the edge?
You want to put Dexter Lawrence on the edge? Not a good idea.
He's a huge human being, bro. Like he's one of the biggest
pounds.
But he's one of the biggest men you've ever seen in your life. You're not going to put that guy on the outside, but he is fast. But he's not like you can't compare him to like Kayvon or Aziz or even Jahad Ward.
Edge rushers need a tremendous amount of bendability, pliability. They need a lot more athleticism and moves.
Because it's not just about rushing the passer when you're out there. Like if you play against like this week's quarterback, Jalen Hurts, Dexter Lawrence, he's not fast enough to go and beat Jalen Hurts to the edge.
No, if you've got to run to the outside, by the time he gets out there, there's a lunar eclipse.
So he'll shut it down for sure. It won't be nothing. But if it goes outside of him, then I mean, I watched him run down the Rams running back last week. And he hit him hard, by himself.
Williams.
But it was a little bit closer, I mean, I hear your point. He wants to make the comparison to one of the greatest pass rushers ever in Reggie White. He's maybe 20, 30 pounds heavier than him, though, right?
Yeah. Oh, easy. Easy.
I know Reggie White was a big guy, but I'm telling you, Dexter Lawrence is one of the biggest human beings I've ever seen in my life.
The thing that Wink Martindale said, which is probably the best thing that we could answer to you. Wink said, every good defense needs an anchor in the middle. He's our anchor.
Yes.
That's it.
In both the run and the pass. I think he's just as good in the run versus the run as he is versus the pass. And look, whenever I watch the Giants, I look right inside. And it's usually – and you know what's funny too? I started noticing a lot more stuff too recently. Like Ashawn lines up a little bit further off the ball than mostly all the other interior D linemen. Dexter's right on the ball though.
Yes.
Like the way he does it is like his helmet is right above his hand, and usually the hand's a little bit further out usually, but he's right there. He's right there.
I suspect
he's getting to that center quick.
I suspect that is to give him a psychological advantage on the center. I think
bet.
Because
he's face to face.
I think because he gets even closer than normal guys would. I think he's a very imposing guy.
Yeah, he is. And he talks to him, too.
By the way, Ashard Robinson's had a really good second half of the season. I want to throw that out there, too. Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry, Dan. Anything
guys.
else?
Hey, I'll take a word for it. I'm not going to argue. I was just thinking, one swipe of that arm, and he's there. But I got another question.
Yeah.
At the end of his stint with Wayne Gallman, he was really getting some good yardage that year.
Wayne? You said Wayne Gallman?
Wayne Gallman, yeah.
Wayne Gallman, yeah. And I could be mistaken. I thought guard at that time was Kevin Zeitler. And I was wondering if the Giants would consider taking Zeitler back. I know he's a little old, but he was opening big holes, if I'm correct.
All right.
Yeah, but that was a while ago.
Appreciate the call. Yeah, Zeitler.
Just know Zeitler played with me in college, so he's not young. Zeitler was in Wisconsin with
now.
me.
That's actually what I'm looking up.
And he came here. We were teammates here too.
I'm looking up his age right now. Just as a matter of fact, I mean, the caller asked about him, so we'll ask. He's going to be on 34 by opening day.
Yeah,
just so you know,
he's a couple years younger than me.
Just so you know,
he was such a like that. Like see his face in that picture. That's
Yeah,
how he always was. Like he didn't say nothing to nobody.
Quality player. We all know that. He spent the last 3 years now with Baltimore after he signed there following his career with the Giants. I don't necessarily know at 34 years old, I don't know how many games he has left in him. I know he has started every game with Baltimore in 3 seasons that he's been in. But I don't know how much – and quite honestly, I don't even know what his contract status is with the Ravens. Would they – would they be in a situation?
I think he was when we looked up free agents. I think he's on the he's one of the top rated guys coming out, but he's older.
Let's see here.
It's Void 24.
Oh yeah. Oh look at the deal he signed with them. Wow. Check this out, Jonathan. Look at this. The deal was signed all the way through 2027 with
what?
With look at this. Seriously. With 4 voidable years on the back end of the deal. That's what's called salary cap trickery. Look at that. Just 4 voidable years.
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
That's a lot.
I've never seen that before.
That's a lot. You usually get 1 voidable year, maybe 2 or 3, 4.
And that would have put him on what, year 13?
Well,
if he finishes
he'll
all
be
the way
37
through.
at that point.
Yep.
Anyway, look, Kevin Zeitler to me was a really good player before he got here with Cleveland, and was a really good player after they made the deal, that big, huge Odell Beckham Jr. trade that brought him to the Giants. Good player, good teammate. You're not going to get a bad word about him out of me.
No.
I don't know right now about that fit.
Yeah, but he's the type of guy he's when he goes out,
he's serious.
When he hangs out with his friends, like he gets into it with guys and he's pass setting those guys. You know what I mean? He's pass setting them and throwing them across the
constantly
bar for fun.
He's the dude is thinking technique 24/7.
Straight up.
24/7.
I think they said it when his baby was born, he was in the hospital doing
I'm
kicks
telling
and
you.
stuff.
So big fan.
Yeah, me too.
I just don't know at this point in his career what he wants, what the Giants want to do in terms of finances, and also age factor. Again, he's going to be 34 opening day.
Yeah.
This team is
basically similar to Pugh, right? Very similar in age group to
totally different players, obviously.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But do you want this offensive line as you continue to reconstruct it? Do you want to add more age to it? I don't necessarily know if you'd like to go there.
I don't mind it. I just know that the offensive line has to improve. I know that.
That's true.
Yeah.
We'll understand that one.
Yeah.
All right. David from Michigan, you are next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Good morning, David. How are you?
Hey, guys. Happy New Year.
You too.
Happy New Year, bro.
And Paul, thanks as always for everything you do. And Jonathan, I got to tell you, your first season, you have been excellent.
Thank you.
Absolutely fantastic.
I appreciate that.
So, wanted to say that. So, like everybody else, we're looking at the draft and we're trying to figure things out. And here's my question for you guys. And I know, Paul, that you love hypotheticals. So here you go.
Yeah.
So let's say that the Giants are drafting 4th or 5th. And let's say, for the sake of this question, that Drake May is on the board at 4. Now, there's going to be a lot of clamor among the fan base to draft another quarterback. And here's my feeling. We just came close to setting a record for sacks on our quarterback. And nobody, and I mean Joe Montana, Tom Brady, you name it, is not going to be successful when the defensive rush is getting into the backfield over 90 times.
I'll do you one better, David, before you finish your question. How successful in terms of wins and losses with the Giants was Fran Tarkenton back in the late 60s, early 70s? The ultimate scrambler, well before his time. And his offensive line did not really hold up, and he was running for his life all the time. Were the Giants winning then? No.
Not so much. Paul, I was in the building for the Pizarczyk fumble, too, so,
Okay.
Anyway, so here's my question, and maybe the point that I'm trying to make, which is that I think if I'm Joe Shane or if I'm John Mara and we're having the pre-draft strategy meeting, this is I'm thinking if Drake May is on the board, there are teams that will trade up to snag him. And I want, if it's me, and I realize I have got to rebuild the offensive line for quality and depth, I'm going to have a contingent trade with I'm going to rattle off 3 teams that I think we could have contingent trades with. For them to trade up, for us to get draft capital, badly needed draft capital back. Pittsburgh, Atlanta, and Minnesota. And I want a load of draft capital back for giving one of those teams the quarterback that they want. Because,
okay, hold on. Let's let people know. Pittsburgh is 18. Atlanta right now is 9. And Minnesota right now is, where is Minnesota? In the 12.
Yeah.
Right now, that's where those three teams are, just so people know the context of your question.
But we need draft capital. There are too many holes where we have to upgrade from what we have and holes that we're going to fill. And with people, I feel like with people who maybe never played the game, I know you get it, Paul. I know you, but the offensive line is critical to is so many things. It's not just the time of the quarterback. It's how good are your receivers going to be? How is the running game going to be? And then it's complementary football, too. Listen, if nobody thinks that the defense is impacted in a negative way, knowing that the best the offense is going to score is between 14 and 17 points, and the offense is not giving us a legitimate chance to win week to week, that puts a serious, and Jonathan can speak to this, puts a serious negative energy drain on how good the defense can be. If the offense and defense are not playing.
I'll raise you one right now. I think the most critical position group in the NFL is the offensive line, because it can make up for, like, if you have a quarterback that doesn't throw the ball very well and you really don't trust him, then you don't throw the ball that much with him and you run the ball more efficiently, and you make him do certain things, and you do certain things because you have a great offensive line. Same thing with receivers. Same thing with a defense that gives up a lot of points. If you gives up a lot of points on defense, your defense sucks. Your offensive line will give you time for your quarterback to throw the ball down the field and get you to throw the ball down the field in games where you're losing, and then also run the ball efficiently and get those 4-minute drives to end games. I think offensive line as a collective unit is the most critical group in the NFL.
It's always been that way.
Yeah.
Football 101 is that the offensive line dictates the narrative of the game.
Yes.
That's it.
I got one more very quick point to make, and that is about rebuilding the O-line. And that is, once I get that draft capital back for that pick, and I pick later, and I'll pick the best player available, I'm using some of that draft capital to go hunting for a trade. And because offensive linemen at best take 2 years to mature and get their feet under them in the NFL, I'm going to use some of that draft capital to make an offer to a team with a tackle who has already proved that they are NFL quality caliber. I don't want to wait 2 years for Joe Alt or the kid from Penn State to mature. We need a bookend
right now
to Andrew Thomas that can play day one and not get abused by Micah Parsons.
Dave, I appreciate the call.
I agree
it's
with
not
Dave.
so much a question, it's more of a comment, and you're now on the record with how you would like to approach things. I will say this, Jonathan, in asking you a question. I think the Giants are in a situation where they've got, even though it's a young core, they've got key players, and I'm of the belief that Saquon Barkley will be back next year.
I hope so.
I believe that will be the case. Jones is obviously coming off the injury, but he's going to be your quarterback. You've got some guys on defense.
Real quick, before you go into it, Wan'Dale Robinson, he's really good.
Well,
he's really good at football.
You could keep it on offense and mention him. Waller's in the prime of his career.
Yep.
On the other side of the ball, you've got Dexter Lawrence. You've got Thibodeau. You've got some important guys, Okereke.
Yep.
These guys are going to want to win within the next 2 or 3 years. I mean, they're going to want to make a run at something, not just make the playoffs, but they're going to want to take a deep run in the next 2 or 3 years with a bunch of these guys. So I understand his impatience about not wanting to draft somebody who you're going to have to mold and grow. I get that. But the flip side to that coin, and this is where my question to you is going to come in, I don't think it's very easy. In fact, it may be next to impossible to go to a team that has established quality offensive linemen and dangle draft picks in front of them and say, hey, we want those guys because they're proven and we want them on our side, we're going to have you take the risk with the draft picks and put your organization in flux. I don't think that's easy.
No, it's like impossible. Because like,
that's
if you
kind of
think
how
about
I see it.
The scenario he's kind of setting up is like one of these teams is going to want a quarterback where the Giants pick at. So trade that team, maybe a draft pick or
and weaken their offensive line to help you.
Right. They're not going to do that. They're not going to give their offensive lineman up and draft a quarterback. That's like
I'm having trouble digesting that.
It doesn't make sense.
Just saying. I tried to go about that explanation very slowly as to why it didn't make sense to me. I'm glad you agree.
But I agree with him in terms of upgrading the offensive line. I said that right before he picked up the phone. And I think it's a combination of young and older guys. I think you got to have older guys, and that's why I love when Pugh came to the Giants. If Pugh wasn't out a year and hurt, because not only was he out here, he was hurt.
Yes.
He came back in the middle of the season and got thrusted into the fire. I'm telling you, that is like there's no one that had a harder maybe than injured guys like an Evan Neal, somebody that just kept on getting hurt, throughout this year and try to battle through it. I've been there before. That sucks. But what Pugh did, like that's almost impossible to do. He did it.
Yep.
And I was very encouraged by it because you had that veteran locker room presence. And even though Andrew Thomas he's not a young guy, but he kind of still is a young guy.
Yep.
He doesn't have as many, stripes under his belt as Pugh does. Pugh's been with several quarterbacks, different teams, played on different conferences. No, he played in the NFC the whole time. But he's played probably every team in the NFL. He's went against all of the best pass rushers in the NFL. And also he knows how to conduct himself as a pro, whether that's on the field during games or like I always said, that they need more fight. And I saw Pugh fighting. I saw Pugh getting in guys' faces.
Oh, yeah.
Because some people were taking shots on their quarterback. And Pugh was getting after those guys. You need offensive linemen like that, not one. You need a whole bunch of them. A whole bunch of them. And it could come from young guys like a John Michael Smiths. We're going to see what Evan Neal's like next year because can't give up on him quite yet.
Nope.
He hasn't played well. Everybody's voiced that. He's voiced it. Shane's voiced it. Dayball's voiced it.
You weren't around last week when Coach told us he actually has to have a procedure on his ankle.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw
He's
that.
having surgery
I saw
very
that.
soon, said Coach.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I said one of the hardest things to do is what Pugh did, but then also what Evan Neal is doing and what he's going through because he's been consistently hurt since he's been in the league.
Yes, he has.
And when he comes back, he's coming off an injury, off a surgery, like and you just don't know how your body's going to respond.
Did you catch that Tyree Phillips tore a muscle in his leg the other day?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he had to come out. Matthew Pert wound up. He's the new right tackle right now, and
Tyree got hurt.
And for Tyree Phillips, torn muscle in his leg, they got to reattach a muscle tendon.
Gosh.
I don't want to put a timetable on that, but that's going to cost him most of the offseason, I would believe, if not more.
Yep.
So, there's a lot that has to be sorted through here.
But that goes into all of our points. Dan's point, my point, your point, the Giants need depth. They need depth. They need star power, you know, and they need dogs all on offensive line, especially if you got a guy like Saquon back there.
I know. Saquon's
literally fighting for his life in the backfield, not to the second level. That spin move he hit, last week. There's only certain guys that can do that. Like the kid Bijan Robinson, that's why they drafted him so early because he looks like Saquon when he runs the football.
Yep.
That's who Bijan looks like, Saquon. That's his comp.
David, what you need is the USFL because the Giants went and signed Bart Oates and Chris Godfrey out of the USFL. And those two guys helped anchor a Super Bowl championship offensive line thanks to the USFL's demise. Bart Oates was on the Stars and Godfrey was on the Panthers, and they got themselves a starting guard and a starting center who had been seasoned by playing pro ball in the USFL, but were not too old to come into the NFL and give the Giants several years of good
However,
ball.
they need to do it, do it, will do it, should do it, could do it, whatever all adjectives you want to use. The Giants need to upgrade that position.
Yeah.
And this year, the offseason, it was a whole bunch of things the Giants had to focus on last year. That has to be the number one priority. Has to be.
201-939-4513. Line 3, Tim in Charleston. You're next on the show. Hello.
Tim.
Hey, Paul, Jonathan.
Hi. What up, Tim?
Jonathan, you are a trooper for having a 15-hour flight and then showing up
I'm so
at
tired,
work.
bro.
Yeah, but I am the human alarm clock. You know that. I would
No.
you up.
I ain't gonna lie. When I saw Paul, I kind of lit up a little bit. You know, he had this vintage jacket on. Let me give me that jacket. Show me that. Let me get that jacket. Let me put it on.
I guess after the show, you're going home and going to bed, I'm guessing. But
look at this
anyway,
jacket, bro.
So
look at this jacket.
I can't see it.
When you're done, check out the jacket, bro.
All right.
It's older than me.
Turn around. Look at this on the back.
I saw him. I said, Paul, hey, man, look at the jacket. I love it.
I used to have, my father had a Botany 500 jacket that I used to wear with a rock T-shirt or jersey under it, you know, when I went to concerts and things like that back in the 80s. But anyway, so a couple of things. I just want to briefly talk about this game and then talk a little bit about the off season. So, you know, let's be competitive. Let's give the Eagles our money's worth. Let's make it a last possession game. And honestly, you know, I'm never a tanking guy, but, you know, I'd rather maintain draft position because, like the previous caller said, it gives us the potential to trade down and get draft capital. And to that note, because I feel like we have so many needs, I mean, we certainly can address one of the guard positions in free agency, assuming we re-sign Saquon. And I think that Dane Belton's performance in the last game, assuming Pinnock will be back in time for the season next year, means that they're probably not going to spend, you know, $15 to $20 million on Xavier McKinney. As much as I would love to have him back, I have a feeling he won't be. So that being said, you know, I think Schmelk has said, you know, offense in the draft, but we have a lot of needs. So
you could always use corners and pass rushers.
Always.
Yep,
always.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Pass rusher to me, you've heard me say this before, and I'll let you finish in just a second. I was on that program when John started this conversation like 2 weeks ago, and he was telling me, can't go defense. You know, gotta stress offense. Gotta stress offense. I said, look, I get it. The offense did not produce as expected. The numbers across the board were not very good. You had a ton of injuries. I get all of that, but in that first round, wherever the Giants land, if they've got conviction that there is a bona fide game-changing pass rusher, I would not hesitate to pull the trigger. Me neither.
I mean, Banks was a great draft pick
as a cover corner.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But you know, look,
he's the best corner on the team.
If you got somebody that can guarantee, Azeez Ojulari has still been up and down with his durability. And quite frankly, even his production this year may have been impacted by that.
Big time.
If you got somebody who is a guaranteed, bona fide, scary stud that you can put opposite Thibodeau, okay, you know what? You do it. You do it.
I agree.
And then Ojulari just becomes an extra piece to that puzzle that you can mix in all the more.
100%. But so the way I look at it is, I agree with you. If there's a stud pass rusher there, let's grab him. But if not, I feel like we do have the opportunity, as the previous caller said, to trade down. And if we trade down and we can pick up this year, I don't want next year picks. I want this year picks. I want the other team's 1, 2, and 3. Now, I don't know if anyone's going to give that up. Somebody's going to have to want a quarterback or, you know.
I'll tell you what, though. I would sign up for that. If the Giants can get that, a first, second, and third round pick for that first round, I'll take it. Especially if it's the top half of the first round.
even a first, second, and fourth. Because
it's rare that a team though is going to gut all of this year's draft to move up like that. They want to spread out that hurt over a couple of years.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, which doesn't help us as much as I want. So, because I feel like the needs we have, all right, we can pick up a guard in free agency, but we're going to, assuming Adoree doesn't get re-signed, and I'll assume he's not, we need to pick up a cornerback. I agree 100%. A pass rusher, an edge rusher, even if he's a pass rushing specialist, who can go in there and play, 1 or 2 downs per series would be fine. So it could be, so now I'm not putting I'm not saying which round we pick whom, but we need a tackle. And we need a tackle because not only Evan Neal, but Andrew Thomas has been hurt a lot. And I don't think Tyree Phillips, we don't know what his future is with that serious injury. So, so I feel like we need a tackle who can be developed. Yeah, it may take a couple of years, but Evan Neal's going to get his chance, assuming he gets healthy. But whatever way it shakes out, if you have a quality swing tackle and you have the opportunity to move one of these guys into guard at some point when necessary, it gives you the opportunity to really, really serious. We know we need to get better in the trenches. We need a defensive tackle. So we need 2 guards. We need a tackle. We need a defensive tackle.
You're not a big Jordan Riley guy. You don't think Riley has shown you enough this year to think he could be some of the future? And would you not bring Ashawn Robinson back again next year too? Wouldn't those 3 guys make you feel pretty good about the spot?
Yeah, kinda.
Kinda?
I'm all for I'm all for keeping those guys and seeing what they can become. But I feel like having another weapon, somebody, maybe not on the par with Leo, but somebody who is dangerous like that. And hell, maybe we go back out there and we re-sign Leonard Williams. Maybe he comes back to Giants.
A lot more team-friendly deal, though.
Yeah, it would have to be. I'll tell you that. The numbers are going to have to be right for that to happen. But I do know this. Yeah. This organization really respected him, and he had great respect for these folks here. And that door was left open.
They treated him.
That's good.
Because they really treated him right at the end.
No doubt.
They went to him with a lot of respect.
Big deal.
And
I was talking about that too.
With a lot of respect and said, "What do you think?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "I'm willing to go."
I was talking about his contract this offseason a lot.
Tim, we're going to let you go. We'll let Jonathan finish. Thank you.
That number was, 31, 32?
Yeah, it was huge.
$32 million. And I was like, I said it before the year, no one's going to get paid more than $30 million but Daniel Jones. And they end up keeping him, which was a big surprise to me at that number. That number is crazy. Mm-hmm. But they did out of respect for his game and his locker room leadership, I think. Like, it's not just the player, it's the person as well, too. Like, there's a human aspect of some of these things, and you get a guy like Leonard back in here that revitalizes the best player on the defense of Dexter Lawrence. He loves Leonard Williams. He's going to play better, because Leonard Williams in the locker room.
And Leonard Williams, need I say, he's only going to be 30 years old this fall.
Oh, wow.
He's
been in the league forever.
He has a lot of tread left on his tires.
Yeah.
And when you consider the brotherhood that he and Dexter had,
you
know what? I don't know what the number needs to be for his sweet spot, but I know that door was not closed upon that trade. That's a conversation that I certainly would want to be privy to.
Yeah, me too. I would love that. Are we going to talk about this game this week or no?
Nobody seems to want to. 201-939-4513.
I wanted to talk a little junk.
Well, here's what I will say.
Because the Eagles got beat up last week. We ain't talk about that.
Hugo, listen, we're going to go to you in just 1 second. I just want to make sure that we set the table for Sunday because Jonathan wants to do that.
Yeah,
so we're going to do that. Giants play Philadelphia this weekend, okay? Couple things to keep in mind. The game is at 4:25 here at MetLife Stadium. Dallas controls the NFC East. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yeah, I know.
Since you were away.
I know.
They win against Washington.
They're good. They got number
then
2 spot.
they win the division, and they're the 2 seed in the conference. And quite frankly, Philadelphia is going to be left crying and reaching for Kleenex tissues. Okay? If Dallas should screw up against Washington, which I don't think is going to happen.
Commanders lost 6 straight, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean,
6 or 7?
that team is.
Yeah,
I
7
always thought
straight.
they were the last team in the division, and that's what they are. They are the 4th team in the division. If Washington should somehow pull off that upset, then Philadelphia will need to beat the Giants to claim the number 2 seed and the NFC East crown. That is what is at stake here.
What time is the Cowboy game?
Same time. They're both 4:25. That's the way the league kind of sets it up.
Yep.
For the Giants, what is at stake? Well, obviously beating your arch nemesis, which you always love to do. But the other part to this is just to be aware of how the game will impact the Giants. It is not something that they're going to be thinking about. I don't want to all of a sudden go about face here. The Giants plan to, and in the worst way, want to win this game. They are number 5 right now in the first round. They could wind up being as high as 2 or as low as 8, depending upon the complex permutation of results that will occur this weekend. That's going to be part of the impact of what happens on Sunday. That is not their goal. Let me stress that again.
Never.
That is not their goal. That is not in their minds. The Giants want to win this game, and wherever their draft slot falls is where it falls. That just happens to be a part of the result of what happens this weekend. Now, did you have something you wanted to add about this Giants-Eagles game, maybe something you saw a couple of weeks ago that gives you reason to think the Giants can win?
No, I just watching the Eagles the last month and some change. They're not the same team that they was in the beginning of the year.
No, you're not.
You saw the Giants play them tough. The Giants are the only team that has not beat them in the last month. They've lost to everybody else.
You had to remind me.
I'm just saying. I want to beat them up. I'm not trying to beat the Giants up.
All right.
I want to beat the Eagles up.
Well, they got some help in that game in Philadelphia.
Well, I'm looking at the game against the Cardinals. I want to talk about what the Cardinals did to them, and the Giants are better than the Cardinals.
In Philly, by the
way. And they can run the ball better than the Cardinals.
Yes, they can.
And they rushed for over 200 yards, 220 yards. Mm-hmm. Everybody was eating. Michael Carter, the guy from the Jets, was eating on their watch. Everybody was. James Conner looked like a Terminator for real against them guys. And Kyler Murray wasn't bad passing the ball against them. They have a lot of poor, like last year, and I said this all throughout the year. Me and Lance was talking about a lot doing the games and stuff. I'm like, man, the Eagles scare me, man. I'm not scared of the Eagles, bro. Not this year. They're talented. No. Offensively and defensively. They're still one of the most talented teams in the league.
No, see, I disagree. I think their back 7 on defense has shown signs of age, injuries, and flat-out slowing down.
Okay.
Their back 7 on defense does not look
that.
nearly as imposing as it once did.
I can't disagree with that. Every other position, though. I mean, you got Julio Jones scoring 2 touchdowns, and he's the 3rd receiver. That's crazy. That's crazy. Saying that out loud sounds crazy, but it's the truth. Good running back, great quarterback, great tight end. They're loaded. Great offensive line.
Terrific offensive line.
A play that always works.
Yeah.
which
does need to be outlawed, by the way.
And just to know, all of these things I'm saying, they still lost the last 4 out of 5 games.
Yeah.
And they got 30 ball hung up on them at least 3 times in that span. The Eagles, they're overrated. And I would say that now, but at one point, they were the best team in the league. They were 10-1.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're 11-5. And they don't look like a regular 11-5 team from other divisions. They look like a team that's struggling right now, that's fluttering right now, and the Giants could possibly beat them. I wouldn't think this 2 months ago. When I say not think this, there's always a chance. But 2 months ago, the Eagles were the best team in the league.
Well, the war of attrition has clearly, as I said, slowing down age and injuries. The war of attrition, they lost Slay.
And Bradbury
in the
looks
secondary.
bad.
Bradbury looks like he's out of gas.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, then Cunningham got hurt in their linebacking core. Remember, they added Leonard.
Mm-hmm.
But, Cunningham was their most productive linebacker, and he got dinged up a couple weeks ago, too. That didn't help them.
Shaq Leonard looked a little rusty, too. He looked a little rusty.
Yeah, sure. Well, remember, he just came over.
Yeah. He'd been out for a while.
So No, beginning of the season, it was clear that the best two teams in the conference were Philadelphia and San Francisco, and how you wanted to place them 1 and 2 was your option, depending upon how healthy the roster was.
One team got better, one team got worse.
That's exactly what I was just going to say.
Mm-hmm.
They went in opposite directions.
Yep.
Now Philly has come closer to the pack, and San Fran has shooted up.
Yeah, for sure. And so there's opportunity. There is chance. And there's always a chance when two teams go out there playing the NFL. There's always a chance. Always a chance. But the Giants do have a legitimate chance in beating this team that looks like not only physically, like you said, the back seven, they're struggling, but I think something's going on with the culture and the mental, I don't know, presence that they have over there.
Well,
they just seem different.
Do you remember how much time we spent before the season asking about how the change in the coordinators who had left might impact this team? Well, it didn't seem to in the first half of the season, but maybe as time has gone on and opponents have also picked up more about what these first-year Philadelphia coordinators were doing, maybe they haven't adjusted nearly as well as the coordinators of the past.
Yeah, I agree.
So, be that as it may, we're not talking about Eagles right now. We're talking Giants. 201-939-4513. Hugo, you are next on the program. Hello.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. I just want to make a couple of quick comments about some of the prior calls. And one is a correction. Kevin Zeitler was traded to the Giants in exchange for Olivier Vernon. Odell Beckham was traded for the 17th overall pick.
Incorrect. The two trades were melted together. When the front offices talked about the trades, they had a framework of one agreement of one of the trades, and then as they continued to discuss what was happening and they thought about another trade, they melted the two, and it wound up being a huge haul involving a slew of players and picks. So you're kind of half right, but not half wrong either. You're kind of in the middle. It was a meatloaf.
Well, he helped provide clarity to something that wasn't all the way true.
It was a meatloaf.
Kind of true.
It turned out to be a meatloaf.
Yeah.
It was not one single deal where all the pieces were encompassed at the same time. It was a meatloaf within 48 hours, I think it might have been. I don't remember exactly how many days.
Okay.
But yes, sir.
Well, it wasn't publicly announced that way.
I understood. Well, not at the time. At the time, it was not. But that's what it turned out to be.
Okay. And the one thing I do remember about Reggie White being lined up at the nose, he was the one guy that would give Bardos fits. Whenever. Yeah.
Bardos was an undersized center, and Reggie was a beast, which is one of the reasons why they would move him up and down the line.
For sure. So we're 16 games into this. That used to be a full NFL season, so the sample size is sufficient. And this has been a very weird year for the Giants. I think the fundamental issue with this team at 5-11 is a lack of toughness and physicality. And when I say that, I really point to three things. One, the terrible tackling. Whenever I watch a Giants game, I think of that old NFL Films video of Vince Lombardi when he says, everyone's grabbing, no one's tackling, grab.
I understand.
Inconsistent running game, inability to stop the run, and when it comes to mano-a-mano in short yardage situations, the Giants have been atrocious. So, let's go to the Philly game. I think this Philly team is, and Paul, I said this a week or two ago, they're exactly what I predicted by the end of the year. Okay? And interestingly enough, the Arizona Cardinals took my keys to victory, which I talked to you guys about a couple of weeks ago, and executed it perfectly. Pin-pull concepts, power gap, running to the edges, throwing to the tight end, and slot receivers in the middle. All that is the key to success. So when I think about this game, if the Giants lose, it's not a statement about the prominence of Philadelphia, but could be more of a statement about the ineptitude of the Giants and just how poorly we match up physically against the Eagles. And that kind of colors my thinking about the offseason. Spoiler alert, I don't want anything to do with T. Higgins. I don't want anything to do with Mike Evans. I am tired of overpaying receivers like Golden Tate, Kenny Golladay, and a receiver type in Darren Waller. Let's get the physicality of this team right. That's the only way to compete. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you, guys.
Okay. A couple items that I just want to address. The missed tackles number. Now, I can't give you exactly what the percentage, because I think the percentage of missed tackles is a better number than just the number of missed
itself.
tackles.
Yep.
But the Giants did have, so far, they've been credited with 114 missed tackles so far this year,
wow,
which is the 6th most in the league. Now, to be fair, okay, I can tell you that the fewest missed tackles in the league is 55 by the Dallas Cowboys.
More than half.
How about that? And San Francisco with 61 is number 2. And Kansas City with 62 is number 3. What do those 3 teams have in common?
Oh, good defenses.
Okay. Now, at the same time, who led the league in missed tackles this year? Seattle with 127. And they right now are certainly in the playoff mix. Miami is number 4 at 117. So, yes, do I think that missed tackles have been a problem? Yeah, I will. I'm not going to say they have not been a problem. What I wish I could give you, and I don't have the stats available, it's not in the chart that I have. I would love to tell you the percentage of missed tackles. In other words, giving you missed tackles compared to the number of defensive snaps that the team has taken.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to be able to give you that, because that may be a better number for me.
It's not up there, huh?
That's not available. All we have on this chart is total missed tackles.
See, and I kind of agree with him, but then I don't, because I don't think the most physical team wins every single game. You know, I think it says a lot when you're the most physical team. You know, it's good to have that as like a culture, and like as as when you walk in and you want to establish being the most physical team on the field. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to execution. And that's a word I've been saying all year about the Giants offense. And last week's Rams game that was it. Several different times. The field goal at the end, the 2-point conversion, both fourth down plays. So many plays, so many opportunities.
You know, I got a basketball partner I do college basketball games with, and he goes, it's not how many shots you make, it's when you make them.
It's when you make them.
And it's those key moments where the Giants particularly failed in key spots. When the mistakes are that costly, it's hard to come back from.
Yeah. Like if it's a close game and your quarterback throws 2 interceptions and you're only down by 3 in the second half, not to say those interceptions didn't mean anything, but you're still good. You're still good. You're in one-score game. And then stuff that happens after that, late third quarter, fourth quarter, late fourth quarter, crucial, that 2-minute drive, that 4-minute drive, whatever it is, those are crucial situations. And the Giants really failed this year in a lot of crucial situations. That's how they lost all of their games. Well, it wasn't always that they got out physicaled. It was a lack of execution.
Very true. One more game to go. Sunday, 4:25, Philly comes to MetLife Stadium. Hopefully, we will see you guys out at the pregame show stage before the game. We start 2 hours before kickoff. Don't forget, Big Blue Kickoff Live is here every single weekday from 12:30 to 1:30 in the afternoon. You can always catch archives of this show, which is presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants, on Giants.com/podcasts, the Giants mobile app, and podcast platforms everywhere. For Jonathan Casillas, I'm Paul Dottino. We'll talk to you again next time.
You deserve to treat yourself, so turn your tax refund into a U fund and give yourself a Straight Talk Wireless Extended Silver Unlimited plan and get a new Samsung Galaxy A14 on them. You can get a great everyday value on wireless with Straight Talk's Unlimited plan starting at $25 a line per month for 4 lines. You'll save so much you'll be enjoying that refund all year long. It's the refund that keeps on refunding. Find Straight Talk at straighttalk.com or at your local Walmart store. Taxes and fees not included. Offer valid through 4/14/24 while supplies last. Online only. Must purchase a Straight Talk Extended Silver Unlimited plan to qualify. Limit of 5 phones per customer. Family plan discount with 4 lines, all on the Silver Unlimited plan. Not combinable with autopay discount.
All-inclusive vacations make life easy with endless eats, bottomless drinks, and never-ending fun. So booking an all-inclusive vacation should be easy too, right? That's where Apple Vacations comes in. Book your all-inclusive getaway with Apple Vacations and receive exclusive perks at select resorts. You'll find the best deals at Riu Hotels and Resorts in Mexico, the Caribbean, and Central America, and enjoy a selection of exclusive nonstop vacation flights. Turn on easy mode at applevacations.com or call your local travel advisor to get started. Visit applevacations.com or call your local travel advisor to get started.